Story 1. When you open the door to your air-conditioned house after working in the yard on a 90-plus-degree summer day. Story 2. Taking a shower and then getting into freshly washed bedding. Also, when you have a good stretch and your legs start shaking. Story 3. Unfortunately, the answer is heroin. Please do not downvote me. I have been clean and sober for 14 years. People do not throw their lives away for nothing. The high really is that good. Unfortunately, it destroys every other aspect of your life in the process. Story 4. Sitting next to someone in silence and understanding. Just the comfort of knowing you can be with someone without having to speak. Story 5. The best feeling I've had that fits this is genuinely receiving a sincere and warm platonic hug from my disability service worker after we had to make the choice to put my 20-year-old senior cat to sleep due to her declining health and quality of life. Knowing I was not alone in my grief and heartache, and having someone just hug me and let me know things were going to be okay, really helped me. Story 6. That warm moment when someone really listens to you with no judgment, just real attention. Feels like being truly seen. Story 7. After spending a long time bending or sitting, you finally lie down and feel how your back is relieved from tension. Story 8. Oh, the wind on your face when you are walking in crisp, cool air. The heat on your face near a campfire on a cold night. The peace that washes over you watching heavy rain hit the water. That first bite of a meal made by someone who loves you. Snuggling under a big, clean, fluffy comforter alone, or with a pet or partner when you have nowhere to be and nothing to do. The transcendent completeness you feel when you are vulnerable and afraid during a difficult conversation, and the other person embraces and accepts you. The shock and awe you feel when you surprise yourself by doing something you did not realize you had in you. Story 9. I had a kidney stone and they gave me morphine in the hospital. It was a warmth that slowly spread over my body. It did not kill the pain, but it made me not care about it as much. I can see why people become so addicted to it. Story 10. Taking my boots and socks off after a long day at work is like a woman taking off her bra. Story 11. Eating Mexican food at a Mexican restaurant where the staff is diverse, the chips and salsa are free, and the food is authentic without being advertised as such. Story 12. Feeling happy. When you struggle with mental health and other challenges. The feeling of happiness is one of the greatest joys. Story 13. Bill Clinton said oral sex was not sex, so I am going with the definition of a two-term president and saying that. Story 14. I really can't decide which is best, but all of these. When my boyfriend wraps his arm around me and lets me lay my head on his chest. Kissing a tiny kitten on their whiskers. Sticking your head out the car window during summertime. To be honest, I get why dogs love it. Smoking, then blasting your favorite song in the earbuds. The smell of campfire and barbecue on a warm night. Story 15. Stretching after a long time. Removing socks at the end of the day. Scratching an itch just right. Popping joints. Urinating after holding it for too long. Just satisfying things that do not involve anything sexual. Story 16. That first kiss that you wanted so badly. Not sure if it is considered sexual. The other one I was thinking of is a thoughtful surprise that you definitely did not see coming. Story 17. Clearing mucus that feels like it is coming from deep inside your head. Once cleared, you can breathe cold, clean air. Story 18. Replying to an email with an attached sent message proving you are in the right. Bonus points if your manager was copied on the thread. Story 19. When I was 16 or 17, I started smoking methamphetamine. I remember the first hit I took. I was already drunk off a 12-pack and took a long hit out of the pipe. When I exhaled and felt the rush of dopamine hit my brain, it felt like I was climaxing. Literally, every hit felt like that for the first year. It is still one of the best feelings I have ever experienced. Story 20. I was told the answer to this question is crystal methamphetamine. The person who told me was a hardcore opioid addict. I will take his opinion and never try it. Story 21. The contentment of drinking hot tea at night, listening to rain on the window or porch with no responsibilities left for the day. Story 22. Not having to read the exact same question on this subreddit every week must be wonderful. I would not know for sure, though, as I have never experienced it. Story 23. Quite a grim but sadly truthful answer: drugs. There is a reason people throw their lives away for them. It is not for nothing. Thank God I have not found any yet. I know I would get addicted if I had the chance. Story 24. When you come home from work and your partner is staying, you see her pull up in the driveway. She gets out of her car, which matches her personality, and she says, "Hello." That is the best feeling in the world. Story 25. Getting under the blanket with your socks on after a long day, then taking them off with your toes and rubbing your feet on the cool blankets. Story 26. Touchy touchy is what I call it when my boyfriend lightly runs his fingers along my arms, legs, back, and so on. I love it. Story 27. Enjoying and truly connecting with a piece of art, whether it is a great song, a fantastic film, or a heart-pounding painting. Story 28. When you have nothing planned on your day off and your friend calls to invite you to do something fun. Story 29. So far, the best feeling that is not related to sex was having nicotine for the first time. It was an intense feeling. Cannabis was also powerful, but I honestly think nicotine was a nicer feeling. Story 30. When I'm hot, sweaty, and uncomfortable from a long day of work, I get into my service truck where I have had the air conditioning running for about 30 minutes before I get in. I grab a clean rag that I have washed and dried at home with Downy Bliss. I wipe the sweat and grime from my face and smell the sweet scent that reminds me of home. Story 31. The feeling of a clean home and getting into bed after a hot shower is euphoric. Bonus if you have shaved legs. Story 32. The first morning sip of a cup of builder's tea on a cold morning, right before reality sets in and you remember you are due at work soon and the challenges it entails. Story 33. Friday afternoon after a work week. A rest day from exercising and time to relax with your partner, family, or friends. Story 34. What I call an eyegasm: when you rub your eye and it gets dark and you see those shapes and colors. Feels so good to me. Story 35. Back scratches. Full body scratches. It has never been a sexual thing for me. It just feels amazing. Or when someone pops an occasional back pimple. Story 36. That moment when you wake up, think it is time to get up for work, and then realize you still have 2 more hours to sleep. Story 37. Taking a hot shower after a long day is refreshing. But if I cannot have that, receiving a pack of really good bubble wrap in the mail that I can just pop freely is enjoyable. There is something very relaxing about popping bubble wrap. Story 38. Going to bed freshly showered, with my hair dried with a hairdryer, on my new laundered sheets that just came out of the dryer on a 10 to 16 degrees Celsius night. Story 39. That moment when you come home after a long, exhausting day, take off your shoes, and flop onto your bed. Story 40. Finally doing something I've been putting off for ages. I know I will feel good when I come out to my crush in a week. It will be good to get that off my shoulders. Story 41. That moment when you get home from a long, exhausting day of activities, your body is sore, and then you reach spiritual enlightenment the moment you finally sit down and just decompress. That peaceful reprieve, nothing beats it. Story 42. A girl once sucked on my earlobe. I was not expecting that, and it felt very good. It was kind of sexual, so I guess it counts. Story 43. Sometimes I eat a muffin and think, this is better than intimacy. Sometimes I have intimacy and think, a muffin would have been cheaper. Story 44. When I get the transmission perfectly aligned and it mates to the engine with a light push and a satisfying clunk. Story 45. Waking up in a forest surrounded by nature and looking out to see a beautiful morning not spoiled by humankind, or coming in after shoveling snow, getting a cup of hot sweetened coffee, and letting the warmth envelop you. Story 46. Making bread dough, especially when you make it right. It is so soft and smells very good. Depending on the type of bread dough, you can make focaccia, sourdough bread, and more. Story 47. Winning. After working hard, struggling, coming down to the wire, and coming out on top, it is a remarkable feeling. Story 48. Ghost stool followed by no residue on the toilet paper when you wipe. You felt it come out, you heard the splash, but there is no evidence of it anywhere. Story 49. Besides something drug-related, I would assume as well, but cleaning my ears with cotton swabs is almost the same, I would say. Story 50. The feeling of satisfaction when I see your partner and you know that is the one, and your heart is filled with peace and warmth. Story 51. Achieving success in a personally significant endeavor, whether in athletics, professional pursuits, or a valued game, exemplifies the opposite of immediate gratification. This rewarding outcome is a direct result of dedicated effort and perseverance. Furthermore, creative expression, such as music, can also produce these profound and enduring feelings, which far surpass the intensity and longevity of fleeting sensations. Story 52. In my opinion, drinking something cold on a very hot day, drinking ice-cold water in the middle of the night. Actually, many things qualify. Another notable one is listening to music. Having cereal with the perfect blend of crunchy cereal and cold milk. Being in bed with clean sheets, pillows, and blankets. Just finished showering and wearing clean clothes. Cracking your back. I learned how to crack the lower back around the lumbar spine, and it is genuinely an amazing, even euphoric feeling. Finally getting something you wanted for a long time with your own hard-earned money or after careful planning. Story 53. I have regular massages at a day spa. As part of the massage, they do a back scrub. This is the best feeling. Story 54. The plug arrived after multiple delays. Waking up halfway through the night feeling refreshed, getting a snack and water, and going back to sleep. Hot showers. A good haircut. Taking off socks that were a little too tight. Someone finally getting what they deserve. Someone being on the same page as you without having to have a difficult conversation. Story 55. When you have been holding on for a long time to urinate and when you finally do, it is pure bliss. Story 56. I haven't done it, but I could imagine nothing tops playing live before an audience of thousands of ecstatic fans. I actually just heard one of my favorite artists say in an interview that the only thing greater or comparable to having sex with someone you truly love is to be in the middle of a massive wave of live sound that you yourself are creating and sharing the energetic exchange of that bliss with an audience. Story 57. When your child is born and you are in the room with your wife, you both burst out crying happy tears as your child enters your life. Story 58. I have not done it, but I heard that first-time heroin use is extremely intense, though afterward it never feels the same. Story 59. Helping someone you know really needs it. When I lived in Los Angeles, I used to randomly buy homeless people a bag of groceries. All easy open, no cook food and drinks. I would just walk up, put the bag beside them, say I hope things get better, and walk away. Story 60. I am sure nobody is going to like this answer, but the instant when an opioid buzz first hits, there is a reason people are willing to throw their whole lives away chasing that feeling. Story 61. A bit of a different approach, but experiencing the death of a close family member is an intense feeling for sure. I have never felt so close to my other family members before while dealing with the grief. I feel absolutely broken knowing that my grandfather is gone from my life. I think about him every single day. Everything in the world reminds me of him. That feeling of him always being there with me makes me want to make him proud despite his absence. I guess it is not the best feeling, but it is a great one. Story 62. A friendly yet competitive game of good basketball. I'm getting older now, but I used to say I would prefer that over sex. Simply because sex was easier to get. Second place is heroin. Not a promotion. The cost is entirely too high, but it is a feeling you would throw your life, friends, and family away for. Story 63. The back of my head, where my hair starts and my neck ends, is where I use a device to hold long hair, but for guys. I do not know what it is called, but it is circular with dents. When the dents press into my hair and scratch my scalp, I cannot explain the feeling, but I would pay someone to do it for 30 minutes straight. Story 64. Standing with thousands of people at a concert. With people you do not know but love, watching a band you all love, singing the songs you love, having a sore throat the next day because of what you did with thousands of strangers. This is love. This is community. This is brotherhood. Story 65. As a woman, a warm hot shower after being outside in winter, and massaging my scalp and hair with a nice smelling shampoo. Story 66. Waking up early on a freezing snow and black ice day, getting ready for school only to immediately find out that your county is closed for the day before you even get out of bed. Picking out your beverage from the freezer just before it solidifies as ice, giving you significantly slushy sips but soft enough to chew and swallow without damaging your teeth or esophagus. This one is bittersweet. When you pull onto the highway expecting the usual heavy rush hour traffic, but there is an accident just before your access ramp blocking several lanes, and the authorities are letting very few cars pass by, thus clearing you of any traffic for the next 7 to 16 exits. Story 67. I am a Christian, so I would have to say the presence of God. Other than that, it is when you get your entire house really clean, are able to eat, and then rest for 16 hours with no responsibilities the next day. Story 68. That feeling when you have been shoveling snow for an hour, your clothes are cold and damp. Then you go back inside and change into clean, dry clothes. Story 69. Fully accepting yourself. The good, the bad, and the downright ugly. The peace of mind that comes with it. Story 70. Fresh bedsheet, exfoliating before bed, rain while sleeping. Coffee in the morning with my pets. Story 71. When I am carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders and someone shares a relatable experience, the weight is lifted because I am not alone. Story 72. Going on a roller coaster is scary at first. Then, when it is over, realizing it was not that bad and was kind of a thrill. Story 73. Basically, some level of suffering is met by relief. Being extremely hot and sweaty is relieved by a cold drink and air conditioning. Being hungry is relieved by getting food. Taking a large bowel movement provides relief. Story 74. I think it is that moment when you are almost asleep but still conscious and you start seeing visions and amazing apparitions. I try daily to see these. Every once in a while I succeed. It is truly amazing what our minds create in this state. Story 75. To give is to do good to another person or animal. My brain is overwhelmed with the feeling of helping. It is very addictive and very healthy. Story 76. Elation is the feeling of weight falling off your shoulders after you have worked on something under pressure for a long time. Story 77. Baby cuddles. A movie nap with my daughter. An expensive Thai massage after a month of hard labor. Getting a 50-year-old truck to start and smelling the burning carbon. Building a hidden garden in town and watching it grow. Finding a good new video game or book. Getting yourself a fancy new outfit. Turning on a brand new phone and adjusting it to your preferences while discovering new features. Finding a new interest and learning everything you can about it. Having a cat curl up in a ball and sleep on your chest so you can't move. Meeting a new person who was kind of silly and interesting. I could keep going. Drugs were cool too, I guess. But sober life is way cooler when you figure it out. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.